Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam. This is the second part of a tour video that I did with Dr. Michael Dirr and in his and his wife Bonnie's landscape in Athens, Georgia. If you haven't seen the first part, I'll link it up here in the corner. He has been a giant influence on me and many others in horticulture. A retired professor from the University of Georgia in horticulture, and then has written many books, many reference books that those of us who have spent our lives in horticulture have used as the reference manuals for this business. And then he has a breeding company as well, where he's introduced many plants into the trade as well. So here we go with part two.
This is viburnum ruficulatum. It's called the rusty blackall viburnum, and primarily called rusty blackall because the buds and the stems are coated with this rusty, almost iron-like pubescence. But it's one of the natives down here. It's native. You'll find it sporadically in the woods, kind of an understory plant. Runs all the way, I'm not sure how far north, but it runs all the way out to Missouri. And I've seen it in Cincinnati in garden situations. But the foliage is, I would say, among the most beautiful of all viburnums. It's this glossy foliage, which will get darker with time. This is just a new emerging foliage. Flowers are white. They don't have an off odor, so they really don't have much of an odor at all. And the fruits are beautiful. The fruits they go from a green to a pink to a kind of a blue-black. And really one of the nice, easy to grow viburnums. This little hill we're on, these are cotton terraces where the garden is kind of built on. And this is one of the slopes running down from a cotton terrace. And I just stuck a number of viburnums on here, and I sold some out that didn't make it. And obviously this one, and all these plants that you're looking at were plugged in is pretty much 3-gallon material. And the things that have thrived over the last 13 years, obviously, like this, are kept. And the ones, I sold one down the other day, which was one of the Japanese snowball viburnums, which was slowly dying back. There's a viburnum next to it that we've already talked about. This is called spring lace again. And as I said, I have this scattered about the garden, about 2 or 3 of these. And you can actually, I don't know if Stephanie can pick up the odor, the fragrance, but it is fragrant. It has Carlesii genes in it, and it's a long way from that. But there's one of Don Egoff's plants he bred called Nantucket. I grew seedlings at Nantucket, and I happened to end up with a couple of seedlings that were quite nice. One called Spring Lace, which you're looking at, and another one called Nantucket, or not Nantucket, but Perliffic, sorry, P-E-A-R-L-I-F-I-C, which is also fragrant. And there's another viburnum behind that, which is a viburnum dentatum, which is called varieties scabrellum. And you can see the size of that, or ashii, they call it the ash viburnum. It is an amazing plant. That's from a 3-gallon that's literally taken over. It is the latest flowering viburnum in the garden. It typically doesn't flower till June, has a blue-black fruit on it, but and the fall color is kind of a yellowish bronze, nothing overwhelming, exciting. But if you want something to cover an area, something in mass, something just in a rugged area, this is a good choice. Viburnum dentatum, subspecies varieties scabrellum, S-C-A-B-R-E-L-L-U-M. And I don't even remember where I got this, but it's certainly been easy to grow, and it's kind of fun to watch it as it moves through the seasons. We're in my daughter's house, and we built this. This is Katie. She's a teacher. She's at work. But we built this, or she built this a couple years ago. So this garden, what you're looking at, has only been in the ground 2 years. This will be 3rd growing season. And again, we got some iris tectorum, and we ran out of money for the landscaper. Katie did, and I said, hell, I'll do it for you. So this is a free landscape that you're looking at, so no complaints from the peanut gallery. But I dug up a bunch of the iris that I mentioned before, and you can see the purple ones. I kept those together, and I put the white ones together. But I had some leftover, or we had leftover distilleums from our breeding program. And you can only put so many distilleums into commerce. And I always love this pink one that you're looking at. The new growth, it wasn't injured by the cold, and you've seen the cold damage before, which is an asset. Comes out with this, I don't know what we call it, shrimp pink foliage color, which holds for about a month. And it's more compact, and it hasn't been pruned. And I think there's a place for this in the landscape somewhere, but maybe we'll start propagating it again, since we kind of left it just sit here. But kind of shows you a lot of times things are passed by. For whatever reason, I don't always know, and I don't understand it myself, how some brands will come by, visit our breeding operation or facility, take a look at something, and just hold up their nose and walk away. And we looked at it for months and months and years and said, hey, this was great. And then to come full circle again, like we're doing right now, and maybe we ought to go back and reconsider, because you're not going to find this kind of color in most Astilliums. They're green bushes for the most part. Some have a little bronzy cast to it, but they don't all survive the cold. They don't all stay compact, as you know, and certainly this one might have some commercial appeal. At least I like to call it eye candy appeal. This is the Bonnie and Mike Dirr Pollinator garden, and what happened? These are all pine trees in here about 2017-18. One fell on my neighbor's house, almost fell on my neighbor's house, so I got my chainsaw and sawed it up, and I said, well, I don't need liability, so I had somebody cut them all down, and then we stump ground them, and I got my rototiller in here on my tractor, rototilled it up, and I said, you know, we're going to have a pollinator garden, and so it came to be, and a pollinator garden became to be anything I could grow from seed that I thought butterflies, bees, or whatever, any kind of insect might jump on, and certainly Baptisia, one of my favorite, Amazonian is a favorite. I had a lot of butterfly weed in here, Asclepias tuberosa, but it got too shady. And the other thing is that the Baptisia you're looking at, they're all from seed,
nice.
And they're all different.
So, yeah, every one of them's got a variation.
It is different.
Yeah.
And this is the whole fun process of, as I was talking about earlier in this episode, of growing stuff from seed. You never know what's going to pop out, and you walk through, and every day is a joy. You see something different that you hadn't seen before. Yeah. And if you can take a look up here, there's some of these that have the most. I know Tony's got some of the most beautiful purple stems. They sort of have purplish haze when they first come out. These yellow ones, and I just love that effect on these. I've got white ones with purple stems. I've got yellow ones with purple stems. I've got purple ones with purple stems, and if you don't know a whole lot about Baptisia, this might be a good quick lesson. They're easy to grow from seed. To collect the seed in late June, July. I actually put it in a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket and squash it with a rubber hammer. I run it through a strainer. I float the seed. I put the seed in water. The ones that sink, I keep. The ones that float, I throw away. I let them steep in water for 24 hours approximately, and I sow them. And they're up in 2 weeks, 4 weeks. And you can actually get a seedling in flower in 2 years. It's probably, well, maybe Tony can do it. Tony Ava can do it quicker than that, but it doesn't take long to do. So you have to realize these were all seedlings 4 years ago. So pretty nice clumps of plants for literally no maintenance. We just put them in the ground and we let them rip. And I do fertilize this. So I fertilize. I know people don't want to hear that word probably, but I fertilize everything in the garden typically late February, early March, and sort of a half dose. And if something's really looking peaked in May, end of May, I might give it a little shot. But this hasn't filled in yet. When it's completely filled in, it's just a solid topping of this beautiful blue-green foliage. And even the pods are pretty on Baptisia. I think they're pretty. And I don't know if anyone's ever decided to make a cut flower standard out of this for cut flowers. Do you know, Jim, if anybody has?
No.
But I thought some of these they're beautiful in vases for a while. They don't last long, but they're beautiful. So that's the Baptisia story, and I would urge anyone in America, the bees love them. The bees do all the pollination, and all you have to do is collect seed and watch them grow. We're looking at a landscape that was installed 2 years ago. This is the third growing season, and this helped my daughter. This is my daughter Katie's garden. I mentioned that before. And this is a total freebie by Dad, Katie, and my wife Bonnie. We all pitched in. But we had a great time, and you might notice this isn't a onesie or twosie or a 500, or it was. Some people just line up the whatever it is, boxwood or the hollies, and boom, 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 down the row you go. And I thought it'd mix. I asked Katie. I saw her 2 nights ago. She just had some knee surgery, and we were walking around a little bit of the garden. I said, Katie, what about those azaleas? And she said, I love them. And I think most people love color and not just green year-round. There's a lot to go on here. This is a little dwarf viburnum. It is the most beautiful plant, in my opinion. These would be about 4 years old from when we actually rooted the cuttings. But it's compact, shiny foliage, white flower, green to pink to blue fruit, robin's egg blue fruit, by the way. Really, it's an up-and-coming plant, and I won't mention much more about it, but keep your eyes open for a compact viburnum nudum. Nudum grows from Connecticut to literally Florida and west into Texas and Louisiana. It grows in swamps. It'll also obviously grow in drier soils, and it's a native plant with more virtues than most people ever associate with any kind of a native plant. Also in here are some of the Encore azaleas. The whites I wish I had used more whites and kind of soften it up a little bit. And I'm not sure what this one is, but it's excellent. It's flowered every year. It avoided the cold damage that we saw on the distyliums that we talked about. The Loropetalum that you're looking at is one called Crimson Fire. This is one that we bred, our company, Plant Introductions, and it's excellent, and it's available everywhere. And you're going to see one down the road that we also bred that Jim's company, PDSI or Flowerwood, took to market, and is probably actually in some respects a little better. So you never know. You had two plants that are very similar, and we chose Crimson Fire, which is not quite as uniform as you walk down the path there. In front of me, or immediately in front of me, is another distylium. It's one of our, I think this is low 1, low 2 there, and low 3 was the pink one. And also the famous privet, less said the better, but this is Sunshine, which, how many has this sold?
A lot. Yeah, it's fairly popular. I can't imagine why.
Millions. And I asked Katie about it. I said, Katie, can I not remove them, but kind of cut them back a bit? She said, Dad, I love the color. And let's face it, color sells, and the rest of it is sort of an add-on if you can do it. The little azalea, Jim, I don't know which one this is.
It looks like embers to me.
Autumn embers?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is, I know it's another Encore, but very, very pretty and smaller. I fit these in. We had some other ones in there that got chewed up by lace bug, so I substituted out these. But Katie says, hey, I love the color. So here we are. We've gone color, 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 and we're still going color. This, the next Loropetalum is Purple Daydream, and it's a little more uniform. The flowers are redder. That's one way to tell it apart. I don't know if it holds its color any better, but we like both of these when we were breeding, and we chose to go with Crimson Fire. PDSI was able to license Purple Daydream, and I think they're pleased about it. And we're down to another set of distyliums, which you have already seen.
And these distyliums, when you say low 1, low 2, low 3, these are 3 that you're still looking at them.
These are throwaways. We're done with them.
You're done.
We were
with them.
until you showed.
These are not even good enough.
Oh, wait a minute. We're done with them until you showed up today.
Right, okay, yeah. And that pink one, I don't think you're done with.
You said,
yeah.
Boy, I like that pink one.
Yeah.
And the other thing, and the pink one wasn't bombarded by the cold, so you got me thinking again. In fact, as soon as you leave, I'm going to take cuttings and start rooting them. And I don't know what this little dwarf Japanese maple, somebody gave me this, but it's a cutie pie. And again, we talked about Japanese maples earlier in this presentation, this video. You got them from peewees to fairly large trees, and they can get up to 30 to 40 feet tall. So that's kind of a foundation planting that isn't typical. And I don't know, if you want to ride around the neighborhood and take a picture of one that was typical and kind of compare it in your video, it might give people a sense of what we're talking about when we say, you know, this free form is kind of nice. Everything doesn't have to be just tight little pin cushions. Right now we're in what we call the Dirr Arboretum, and most of these trees were planted in 2013. They were grown from seed. They were put in as 3-gallon plants, and I have photos from the initial installation, and it's hard to believe that in literally, what are we looking at, about 9-10 years, that they've grown to the size that they've grown to. This is one of my favorite story trees. I was in the Home Depot parking lot, and I saw this shoebarred oak, which this is, and there was a whole row of them, and one of them had the most beautiful red fall color. So I'm pretty much dressed like this, only even dressed down further, and I'm out picking up acorns under the tree, and a lady drives by in her big Cadillac Escalade and throws McDonald's coupons out the window and said, "Do you need some help? Can I help you?" I said, "No, ma'am, just picking up acorns." So I grew the acorns from that tree, and what's remarkable is this thing, again, planted in 2013, and it's, I don't know, Jim can tell the size, maybe 20 feet, 25 feet, but it has a central leader, it's uniform, and it brought those genes from that original tree for the red fall color. So I just love it. I love to watch trees grow. I can look at trees all day long. Somebody who's looking at the video is going to say they're too close. You know what? I'm 78. The hell with it. If they get too close, they'll start kissing each other. It's fine by me. It's okay. Let's walk through the arboretum, and I'll show you a couple other things that were all planted again at the same time. You're looking straight ahead at the closest tree. That's an upright form or columnar form of Quercus lyrata, and that was discovered at Milken Corporation in Spartanburg, South Carolina. And it was, I don't know how it got there, but we noticed one that was different from everything else. We had some Regal Prince, which is an upright hybrid bicolor form. So I grafted this tree, again, 2003, and it's now, 10, 20, 30, it's over 30 feet tall. Behind that to the right, as you're again looking at the three trees, is a Metasequoia glyptostroboid. These are Dawn redwood, planted in 2003, not touched, and absolutely gorgeous, beautiful tree. And to the left of that is what I think is one of my very favorite trees. Relatively new into the country, collected in China. It's Corylus fargesii, F-A-R-G-E-S-I-I. It's Farges' hazelnut or filbert. It has nuts about the size of a little bit less than the size of a quarter, and they're rock hard. And I got some seed from the Morris Arboretum up in the Philadelphia area, and I was able to germinate a few seeds. And I have a few trees around. I have a couple, and I've given some away. But this is my favorite, and I don't know if we can get in here with the camera to take a look at the bark, but it's much like a paperbark maple or a river birch. And if you come around this way, maybe you can see it, but the bark comes off even on 2-year-old branches, and it comes off in these big, large, papery sheets, which is really nice. Beautiful in the wintertime. It has a yellow fall color, and to date it's been perfectly heat tolerant, drought tolerant, and cold tolerant. We don't have that much cold, and I know they've grown this at the Morton Arboretum in Lisle, Illinois, which is west of Chicago, and it's been cold hardy there. So hard to find in commerce, but gee, wow, what a good looking tree. And again, a favorite, and may it survive until I go to heaven. This is a Pseudolarix camphori or a bobolus. I think camphori is now the correct name. Golden larch, called golden larch because number one, it has gold fall color. Also has cones that look like artichoke hearts. And when they color a golden, sheeny coloration. And this is unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately, this is the same age as the other trees that you were looking at, 2013. And it hasn't exactly overwhelmed with growth, but I've sited it next to a fence. I don't know why, but I just love it. I drive in my garden gate there. My vegetables are to the right of this tree. And in the fall, it's gorgeous. And I think, gee, we can grow so many great trees that either aren't available or people don't know about or commerce doesn't want to deal with because it's too hard to source or they're a little more difficult to grow. And we're hung up on maples, oaks to some degree. Tupelos are becoming more popular. We have flowering trees, it's dogwood, it's cercis, and prunus, for example. But there's hundreds of tree species that certainly native to the southeast that we could grow. And there's certainly, when you start bringing them in from Europe and from Asia, you've increased that multifold. And you just got to look around. I got parodias. I got the two parodias one from Persia or Iran, modern day Iran. Parodia persica, we'll see that a little later maybe, and also have the one from China, which is Parodia subequalis, which has great fall color, but try to find them in the average garden center. It's not going to happen. You have to chase the small one. There's a quote, and I don't know if I gave this last time that I've read. It's a Chinese proverb that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the next best time is today. And I firmly believe that. And when you look at this, you're looking at, as I said, everything we looked at was 2013. And take a look around. It's absolutely beautiful. I come out here and mow my grass. I got a zero turn. I'm mowing the grass, and I sit there. I stop the mower, and I sit up and I look up. And I say, "Wow, God is great." I said, "Biology is great. Nature is great." And I didn't do anything but dig a hole, put it in, water to get it going, and let nature take over. And she's rewarded me, Bonnie, my family, and anybody who visits 1,000-fold. This is kind of one of those trees that probably shouldn't be here, but happens to be. And I think I said this last time we did a video that plants don't read books, and they certainly don't read the Dirr book, so they do whatever at odds with what I think they should do. But this is Aesculus carnea. It's a hybrid. It's a hybrid between our native red buckeye and the European Aesculus hippocastatum, which is the common horse chestnut. And it's supposed to be the one called Bryodii, ruby red, which it's not. So I'm not exactly sure what I have here, but it's still beautiful. And every year it's flowered. Typically, we have a little bit early spring. Typically, it's in early May when it pops. It has set fruits, and I've germinated some seeds. It's more resistant to the anthracnose, which you often see on the common horse chestnut. And it's slow growing, and which is relatively slow growing. So this is a kind of a new part of the arboretum, and I've got things even closer here than the ones we looked at for the 2013 planting date. But they're doing well so far. They haven't kind of encroached on each other. There's another, if we take a walk around here, if you bring your camera through here, we're walking by a Quercus bicolor called American Dream, another Perotea called Contemplation. What I wanted Stephanie to take a look at is I've got a whole woodland area with pretty much all native plants, and that is red buckeye, to give you an idea what the Aesculus pavia, and those are all grown from seed. And if you're looking at the video, to the left is Aesculus parviflora, the bottlebrush buckeye, and those were all grown from seed. So sometimes you got to have patience. A lot of people don't have any patience at all, so they want instant gratification, but life doesn't work that way, nor does the garden building process. This is, we're looking at another dogwood. We looked at Cornus Cusa earlier. This is a Cusa Florida hybrid. These were done by Dr. Ellen Orton at Rutgers many years ago. He crossed a lot of different dogwoods, but Cusa Florida became the Cornus Rutgersensis series. And he's got like Stellar Pink, Aurora, Constellation, Starlight, several others. But this is Aurora, and I've had this, I'm not sure the date on this, maybe 7 years in the border. And what I like about these is that they live, and they're relatively clean. If you take a look at the bracts, you'll see some spot. You get a minor amount, but if this was Cornus Florida, well, you wouldn't even see any bracts on right now because it's already finished flowering. But one of the advantages of these, and I've noticed some out on various highway plantings in Athens, and they've lived, and that's probably a testimonial to, are they worth planting? Yeah. A lot of people are excited about these because the flowers come with the foliage, and Cornus Florida typically is before, Cusa is after, and this is intermediate between the two parents. But you know what? Something this beautiful, and it lives, and it's easy to grow, and I don't spray again, and I think it's worth certainly considering for your garden. Right next to it, while we're looking at trees, these are one of my favorite small tree genera. This is Styrex japonicus. And if you take a look under the branches, you can see the flowers just starting to come. This is one I grew from seed that was planted in 2019 out of a 3-gallon container.
Whoa.
Everything is 3-gallon here because I don't know if you know anything about digging holes, but I got to be pretty good at digging holes. A 7-inch spade is about the same length as a 3-gallon container. So when I reach the level with the top of my spade, that's it. I don't go any deeper, and I don't go much wider. And I always break up my root ball. I usually scissor with a shovel or with a pair of pruners, and in it goes. And actually, we don't lose much of anything here, but I do love the tree. You can see they're fragrant. They're little drooping bells. The petals are not fully exposed or developed yet, but it's loaded, and the foliage is beautiful, sheeny dark green. So, nice columnar tree with time becoming more spreading, hardy to. I went to school at UMass in Amherst, and we had a 30-foot tree on campus there, so they've had minus 10, 15, 20. So it's at least a zone, I'd say a good zone 5B tree, and obviously does well in this part of the world too. So that is Styrex japonicus, or the Japanese snow bell, and it's in the same family as Halesia, which is the Styracaceae. This is another Japanese maple. This is Acer palmatum okagami, which I have trouble spelling. It's like O-K-A-G-A-M-I. And this one I bought from a local nurseman, and they wrestled it in the hole, so it's a little bigger when we got it. But it's beautiful. It comes out with this wonderful reddish purple color. It literally glows, goes to green, and holds up in the heat, and then fall colors a brilliant red. And I love the tree, and it's been literally foolproof. Again, Bonnie and I will come out and clean out some dead branches in the interior. You might be able to get a shot. How we kind of clean out branches, you're always going to have some of that. And occasionally you have to do some pruning to keep them halfway healthy looking. But this is I think one of the better tree types. It's a vigorous grower too. You take a look at some of the growth on the shoots on there. We got a foot and a half of growth already this year, and they're still elongating. So Acer palmatum okagami, one of the better Atropurpureum or purple leaf types.
So I got my signature. I've got my signed book finally, so thank you very much, Dr. Dirr. We could go around this place for a long, long time. I hope maybe I can come back in the fall when there's some fall color.
Absolutely.
And we can do a tree tour.
You've been here on one for a tree tour in fall color. Yeah, you're more than welcome. I really appreciate fact you took the time to do this. It kind of showcases what one man and one woman who have a passion can do. And in retirement, I think it's, I can hardly go in the house until it gets pitch dark, because I just want to go around. There's always a little chore to do. You prune, clean up, deadhead, whatever it is, dig out the dead plant. Yesterday, it was chainsawing out some old dead plants. So nothing's forever in the biological world, and that's something gardeners need to realize. But hopefully viewers enjoy this edition of the Dirr Garden, and we'd love to have you back for edition 3.
Okay, awesome. We look forward to it. Thanks for watching, guys.